I said we have to have more black people become homeowners. That's how Baltimore needs to grow. And that's the reverse that we need to have here in our city. And this project, again, is a perfect example of how we can build generational wealth and transform our communities. In this case, a community that is a stone's, I probably can throw a ball from here to the highway to nowhere. Imagine the story that we're now telling, that you all here in Upton are telling, where we are in a neighborhood that was destroyed. Not because they wanted to build a highway, but particularly because it was a strong black community. And now we're doing the opposite here with this project. And I want to thank everyone involved, but most in particular, those who stayed in Upton and West Baltimore through thick and thin, through everything bad that we've all been through in Baltimore, who remain committed to our city and to West Baltimore. This project that is addressing blight and transforming 38 vacant city-owned properties into new, beautiful, as you can see, home ownership properties in Baltimore. With this revitalization effort, we are making good on promises that this area have been said. As you heard, there are many, many plans. Now those plans are coming to action. It's something that people can see and can touch. And this effort will serve to anchor future, because this is just one of many, as Ms. Wanda mentioned, future redevelopment efforts in Upton. It's an opportunity to show how innovative housing models can produce development that does not lead to displacement and gentrification, how we can build our communities in a way that is both inclusive and sustainable. People that have been here renting can own homes and should own homes in this neighborhood, and we all have to make sure that happens. I am heartened to see that folks that I know and are dear to my heart, Dean, we know that Ernst, all the great folks who have been working in this neighborhood, black folks in particular, that are dedicated to developing Baltimore and redeveloping Baltimore in the right way, Mr. Chair, not the wrong way that we've seen so many times in the past. And I just want to let you guys know that my administration, as long as I'm in my role, will do whatever we can to work in true partnership with you, getting rid of the things that have happened in the past and the barriers that have put up in the past to make sure that we can build a better Baltimore together. Again, thank you, Secretary Holt and the state, for working with us every step of the way. It's been a pleasure to work with you, sir, throughout the years, and I know that I'll see you at some ribbon cutting in a few weeks, as we always end up together somewhere. And you didn't hear it from me, you heard it from Secretary Holt, that across the city of Baltimore, despite what people say, great things are happening each and every day. But our investment as a city is no small matter, led by our housing commissioner, our development subsidy to support this project and the infrastructure surrounding it, to close the gap between construction and resale costs, provide that path for affordable home ownership that we're talking about here today. And I can say that that investment is paying off. The sale prices for these units have already exceeded our expectations, underscoring the strong interest in this area and for folks who invest in Upton and indicating a very bright future. So for those who think that folks don't want to come to West Baltimore, look at the prices that these houses are selling. It will tell a very different story. Home ownership is a powerful tool to fight poverty and all the things that are plaguing our city. And I'm so pleased that we're getting to work together and strengthening the relationship between neighborhoods and businesses. We will continue to do that. And we know that we have excellent leaders here. We know that Ms. Wanda is always going to hold us all accountable. She's going to push us. She's going to make sure that we do right, not just by Upton, but by West Baltimore, but that's what we need. Everyone needs people to push them. Everyone needs people to hold them accountable, because that's the only way that we'll be the best version of ourselves. And I am going to be looking forward to continue to work alongside each and every one of you as we go forward into reimagining and rebuilding and rebranding Upton and West Baltimore into the best version of itself. And I'm also looking forward to doing that with the leadership of a great councilman, the person I would say that probably works the second amount of time to me, Councilman Eric Costello. Mr. Councilman.
So it's kind of standard practice at these types of events to thank people. And if I were to thank everyone who's responsible for this project, I would take up the entire 3 minutes that Wanda gave me today to speak. So I'm not going to do that. In fact, I'm not going to thank anyone. because pretty much every single person that I see here today played some type of role in getting us to where we're at today. And it was a hodgepodge of things. It was creative solutions that were put together. Secretary Holt knows about that. I know former Commissioner Braverman, Commissioner Kennedy. Sacrifices being made on both ends, Dean, Armstead, trying to come up with a creative way to do this. But I want to talk about a couple of reasons why this project is so important. I've been on this council for 7 years now, and I could tell you, if you told me 7 years ago that we were going to find a way on the 800 blocks of Harlem and Edmondson to sell a home for $300,000 at market rate, and across the street find a way to subsidize a way to get a family in who could only afford $200,000, I would have told you you're batshit crazy. I would have said that. That's the first thing. The second thing, Mr. Mayor, next week I'm going to be 41 years old. I will tell you that these blocks have been vacant since before I was in middle school, since before Wanda Best moved here, since before Janet Allen was one of the first homeowners in Heritage Crossing and started to organize that community. That is a long time, far too long, and this community deserved much better for so long. And lastly, I want to talk about an initiative that we've undertaken to help make this project move more smoothly. Under the leadership of your administration, Mr. Mayor, working with Deputy Mayor Carter, and finding ways to front-load utility work that needs to happen. It sounds really wonky. It's in the weeds. It might not seem relevant to anyone. We're not doing anything special. We're not giving a gift to the developer. We're figuring out a way to work smarter, more efficiently, to help front-load that work that needs to be done, to help coordinate it amongst our different city agencies with our public utilities, to figure out a way to get this area ready so that we can have brand new homeowners move in, because we know that when we have new homeowners move in, we have strength, and we can build off of that strength throughout Upton, into Druid Heights, Heritage Crossing, so on and so forth. So with that, thank you all for having me today, and it is now my honor to introduce our Housing Commissioner, Alice Kennedy.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here with everybody. I was recently asked about, the 800 block of Harlem, and what is it about this project? And the first thing that I mentioned is the collaboration. I think that that's a theme that you're hearing this afternoon throughout all of the speakers. But this has been a true collaboration from the moment that we started to assemble these city-owned properties and pull things together across administrations, to be able to get to where we are today. It's a collaboration of the city, of the state, of the community, of the developer, of the private investors, of the councilmen, of, everybody coming together to make this project work. And that's something that we want to continue to replicate across the city. We want to use this as a model of how can we do development in the right way, without displacement, with community involvement, with a focus on creating and building the generational Black wealth that is so important to the residents of the city of Baltimore. And that is something that is deserving of recognition today and is deserving of replication across the city as we look at and reimagine our housing development work and how we're transforming our communities and how we are creating opportunities for everyone at all different income levels. So it's extremely humbling to be here with such an amazing group of partners across many different mayoral administrations and housing administrations. And I do want to take a moment just to recognize the staff at Dhcd, because working tirelessly with Acting Deputy Kate Edwards and Rochelle and Teresa and Bill and Tony and everybody that it's taken to help support the developer in getting to this place, because that is also our role here. Our role is to support the developers, to support the investors, to make this possible, and to ensure that we're also meeting the needs of the community and finding that sweet spot of that Venn diagram to build success that we're seeing here today. So with that being said, I want to recognize, and I'm going to bring up now the person that's taking a lot of this on his shoulders, which is Dean Harrison, the developer. He's been working tirelessly for a number of years. He put forth the response. It was with Michael and Bob, remember, putting out the original RFP, and Teresa for this project, and working with Dean through that process and getting here today. And your dedication not just to quality construction and quality building and inclusion of minority contractors, but your commitment with Armstead and Ernst and everybody on working with the community and coming to the table and being willing to make adjustments and think through how this is going to benefit everybody in the long run to create just exponential benefits for all is tremendous. And I can't commend you enough. If there's somebody that I do want to make sure to thank today, it is you for stepping up to the plate to making all this happen. So with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Good afternoon, everybody, and again, thank you for coming out today to really celebrate this Upton success story. I have to say, on behalf of my team, I'm humbly grateful to have been chosen to be a servant for this vision that started with Wanda and Jules and the chair, who chooses not to be named. But that vision was communicated to me, quite honestly, through Wanda and Jules, but also former Commissioner Michael Braverman and his team, Mr. Jay Green, and I'm going to thank some people because I'm only here because of them. Mr. Jay Green, Mr. Jim Majors, who helped work through all this. That's that administration who helped bring it forward, but this administration, with Commissioner Kennedy, her staff, Kate Edwards, Tony, Teresa. I see them all out there. Where's my man Howard? I know he's here. Howard in the back there, taking the blows. I really appreciate what they've done to help support us to bring us to this point. But I just want to sort of go up top now to the funding and how we actually got here. I want to thank Secretary Holt, Ms. Carol Gilbert, and Mr. Larry Brown, who brought the funding that actually helped us get this kicked off. Because if it wasn't for them, quite honestly, we wouldn't be here today. The leadership that came from sort of the state side on the political front, I see Senator Antonio Hayes that helped support all that effort and really bring that forward. Again, making it all possible. Now, just going to the mayoral front, and I know I'm sort of going all over the place, but I got to thank these folks. The successive administrations that came through here. We stood here, Secretary Holt, 2 years and 7 months ago, right in the same spot, just about. I wore the same suit just to make sure I was cool. Just to remind myself of what it looked like back then, the sort of hopes and dreams we had that Wanda, Jules, and Mr. Cribbs, I wasn't supposed to say your name, Mr. Cribbs gave me about what they wanted to see, and my intense desire to try and do a good job for them. And now we're here today, and we've helped at least realize some of that dream, but we're not done yet. But it was 2 years and 7 months ago that we stood here. But that administration was led by Mayor Young, who's no longer here, but he handed off to Mayor Brandon Scott. But even before that, the person who actually challenged me to go deeper into the community I was from, West Baltimore, is Mayor Sheila Dixon. And I got to give her credit because she challenged me years ago. Wow, that was 2005? To really come back to the neighborhoods that I grew up in, come out of downtown and go into the neighborhoods and do it there and apply my trade where I choose to now. So thank you all for all that leadership. And then again, on the back to the immediate team, Councilman Costello said he wasn't going to thank people, but I'm going to thank him because he is a special councilman from my perspective, because I think he understands business, he understands the need to get things done, and to be adamant and focused on making sure things happen. I'm not saying all council people don't do that, but I think he's been special in that regard in making things move. So thank you, Councilman, for that. And one of the things he didn't go into detail of, but I'm going to go into detail on it, is that these beautiful blocks that we're working on here wouldn't be anything if we weren't able to get something done in between. A lot of you don't know what I'm talking about, but some of you who live here know what I'm talking about. The alley between Harlem and Edmondson is in disrepair. And in order for us to really finish off what we've got to do here and realize that dream, we've got to get that alley repaired. And Councilman Costello, with the help of my man Bill Bergey, with the city, again, more city staff coming together, is making that possible. Councilman Costello's leadership, with the institutional knowledge coming from a man like Bill Bergey. For those who don't know him, he's a quiet assassin. And he just happens to have a great education from a place called Baltimore Polytechnic that I think helps him out. Nobody's perfect. Okay. All right, we got that. But Bill Bergey is bringing information from the 1970s. That alley was started in the 1970s, and people just let it go for reasons we could probably all imagine. But it's been picked up again, and Councilman Costello, working with Bill Bergey and a lot of the other city agencies, are really coming together to make that happen. And the end result of that will be a brand new alley, which will allow us to sell homes to homeowners that have decent backyards, decent alleyways, places where they could park their cars where they wouldn't without that. And again, that's being done with city resources. Again, it's not from the private side. That's the city taking on the mantle, really pulling together the leadership to make that happen. So we thank you for that. So now I want to get down to the nuts and bolts of it all, the team that helped bring this forward. I'm just standing up here, one of many who helped make this happen. My partner, Mr. Armstead Jones, who actually does a lot of the technical work, the blocking and tackling to make things happen. I want to thank Mr. Armstead Jones. My other partner, Mr. Ernst Valerie, his team is here. Bob Pippick, Ryan, I don't know if you're here, but I know Bob is here. But I want to thank Mr. Ernst Valerie and the Aquil Fund, who actually stepped into the gap. When things got a little shaky for us in moving things forward, again, the state helped kick it off, but we needed someone to step in the gap and really help us move this forward and bring funds to the table to keep this going. Mr. Ernst Valerie put his money where his mouth is. He talked about black economic wealth creation, creating home ownership for folks within our community, and is passionate about how to make that happen. And when I had a need on a real quick conversation, he stepped up to the plate and made that happen. So I have to thank Ernst wherever he is in the world. We want to make sure he gets that, Bob, and hears that. And so that's the development team. On the architectural side, I want to thank Ms. Nikita Reed with Quinn Evans, and Brandon's here somewhere. Brandon was here. There he is. So Quinn Evans for the beautiful work they've done in designing beautiful homes that you all see here, and have really caused the reaction that we're getting from the marketplace that we didn't expect. But thank you again. And then I want to go to my man, Dave Schilling. Dave is with Paradise Homes, and I just want you all to know from my perspective, Dave is the best builder in Baltimore. Dave and I have known each other for many years, and he's become more than just a contractor to me. He's like a partner, a brother, because when things get tough, and we don't need to go into all the details, but development is not a straight line. Things don't happen the way they're supposed to all the time. Dave is there, filling the gap and doing what he's got to do in spite of it all. So again, Mr. Dave Schilling, thank you all. Thank you. We also have Mr. Chris Cook, who's doing a great job in selling all these homes for us. Again, another partner I've known for many years, but Chris is helping us keep it all moving, so we want to thank him for that. I also want to thank my man, Muhammad. I don't know if Muhammad is still here. There he is, with Eminent Security, Keys and Eminent Security System. You all need to know, Mr. Muhammad here has a beautiful business model. He not only does work in the community, but he also has a security company that is top-notch, and we are thankful for the work that he's done to help keep this place secure and quiet in ways that people don't know all of what went down to get us to this point. But I'll say this, we have had no incidents. And we thank Mr. Muhammad for that. So I just want to thank him. We've got other team members here. I see one of our guys, my man, well, Ryan is here with a couple of hats on, but we also have a couple other folks here that, help in many ways on the project. subcontracting, contracting, all around. And I just don't want to leave anybody out in the conversation, but I just want to end by saying thank you all for the team members. I greatly appreciate it. And it is just humbling to be able to stand here as a tool to help manifest the dreams that were conveyed to me by two beautiful ladies, Miss Wanda Best and Miss Jules Dunham Howie. And really, and just again, thankful that everybody's here to support us. And we want to wind up, at least my piece of it, by saying this was all about making sure that we passed on home ownership and created home ownership and generational wealth for African Americans from the community and within the community. And there's no greater example of that than Mrs. Valerie Lewis, who was our first homeowner and bought 828 Harlem Avenue. And I'd like her to come up and speak and just talk a little bit about her experience. So thank you all.
First of all, good afternoon, everyone. This is quite a bigger event than I had anticipated, but I'm so proud to be here, and I'm more proud to be a homeowner in this neighborhood. Dean and I were speaking a little bit beforehand, and I have deep roots in the West Baltimore area. I had spoken with Miss Best when the beginning of my home search, and we had an hour conversation. Both of our mothers were hairdressers, and we shared quite a wealth of information with that. And to just be in this neighborhood is really, as I said to Dean earlier, is like a homecoming. It's a full circle. When I was growing up, my mother was the treasurer of the Block Society. She was also on the Flower Guild at our church at Central Baptist up the street. We knew our doctor, Eugenia Phillips, was around the corner on Evanston Avenue. She worshiped at our house of worship. She came to our baptisms. She came to our school graduations. Miss Carrington, my first grade teacher, whom I thought we were very close, but when she put me in timeout, I realized that was not true. And she told my mother all the things I would do in kindergarten. We kind of fell away, but that was what the black community was about. You had your laborers, you had your doctors, you had your lawyers, and we all lived in a community environment. My elementary school was 2 blocks up the street from my home, and one day my teacher, Miss Barris, my favorite teacher, my second grade teacher, wanted to make cookies, and so she had gone to the cafeteria to ask if she could make cookies in the cafeteria, and they were like, absolutely not. You can't bring the kids here. This is a commercial kitchen. She's like, well, who can? I was like, I can go, we can go to my house. And much to my mother's dismay, we all walked down the street and went to her house, and we colored on the floor while we baked cookies. And that's what the community was about, right? And when the opportunity presented itself after the conversation I had with Ms. Best, that there were going to be some incredible, brand new, I get to pick it, houses available in my price range, I jumped at the chance. My family was a little bit skeptical because this neighborhood did have a reputation, and I'm a single person, by myself, and so they were a little frightened for me. And we have a dog. My child walks the dog, so they were very concerned. But once I got here, met my neighbors across the street, my neighbor next door, I was settled, right? And the team that did the whole deal for me, it was just amazing. It was a long process, don't get me wrong. But in the end, I am more than pleased with the result, and I'm happy to be here and listening to the stories, listening to all of the things that had to happen on the back end to this moment is amazing. But it shows that with persistence, that with the right vision in hand and the right people in place, things happen. So thank you.
All right, we've come to the end of the program, and Tammy, you're going to help us line up. But I did want to recognize 2 people that really weren't recognized. I want to thank them. There are 2 types of data. There's qualitative and there's quantitative. Jules and I deal with both. And the 2 people that I want to recognize is Chad Hayes and Howard Tutton. Because everything we do is based on data, okay? So we can go back and check it, and you can replicate it. So thank you all for coming. Let's cut the ribbon.